DJ Holy Vogue. Yo!
You're locked into Point 5 Creative Studios, where Africa's stories aren't just told, they're produced. News, politics, entertainment, films that move the continent. We bring the truth, the fire, the creativity. Your world, powered by African storytelling. Point 5 Creative Studios. Point 5 Creative Studios. Point 5 Creative Studios. Point 5 Creative Studios. Point 5 Creative Studios.
Good evening, fellow citizens. Zvenyu zvaitaurwa nezANU-PF vachiti sapatina yeye kudya kwakaprofiti kwaningirozi muchiitirana makuhwa kuZANU-PF ikoko chipanana mota chinyeperana zvenyu muchipanana muchetura sapatina. I would like to tell you something. Munyika medu tichine vanhu vakawanda vekuti they cannot afford 3 meals kudya kwekuseni, masikati nemanheru. But I think yesterday you saw a video whereby the government donated over 100,000 tons of maize in Mangma grocery nezvimwe zvakadaro. But our own people, they are starving. Our own people, they are dying. So Kembo Mohadi, who is not even a Zimbabwean, the vice president, we have Mnangagwa, who is not even a Zimbabwean. They are busy distributing food. There's nothing wrong about sharing food. But there is something wrong about killing the citizens of your own country, starving them to the death, and taking all the food and giving them to Malawi. What did you think of this? Is that charity? Is it because ZANU-PF is gracious? Is it because ZANU-PF is caring? It is something that you must ask yourselves, we must ask ourselves. They are feasting, they are eating, and they eat more meals per day. That is why most of those guys in ZANU-PF, they've got big stomach, like they're 9 months pregnant, or like they're 12 months pregnant, or they're like 20 months pregnant. So, what must we do as a nation? Because we are hungry. We don't have jobs, we don't have houses, we don't have places to stay. For how long shall we stand aside and watch the buying expensive cars and they're donating among their own? A few days ago, a nurse who was how do you call it, in the labor, she died when electricity went out. Who is the cause? ZANU-PF. But who is ZANU-PF? A lot of people, they don't want me to talk about who is ZANU-PF. Are they Zimbabweans? They are not Zimbabweans. I would like to always remind you that, remember that when Samora Machel died, the following year, before Samora Machel, the president of Mozambique, before he was even 6 months down underground, ZANU-PF was instructed by the Zambian and Malawian government that started deporting all Mozambicans, saying, Wondo yakapera ku Mozambique, go back. There was no Malawian who was ever deported. Have you got a record? No. There was no Zambian who was ever deported. Have you got a record of Zambians being deported out of Zimbabwe? No. We have a record whereby Mr. White, who owned a bus company, his buses, they were hired to bring in Zambians from Zambia into Zimbabwe, from Malawians into Zimbabwe. And upon arriving in the country, they were rewarded with houses, with jobs, with citizenship. How did that become possible? I heard some other people say that Mugabe was of a Zulu. He was never one of us. He's a Matibili. Of course, his mother was a Zimbabwe. So we can say he was a Zimbabwean by birth or by legislation, but he remained who he was. That is why we have the problem, the same problem that we have. A lot of people, they were asking me, why is it that we don't have roads, but we have the richest country? We don't have proper hospitals, but we have the richest country in resources. We have willing people. We don't have water. We don't have proper sewer system. Big businesses closed. Big industry shut down. What is the cause? I want to give an example of South Africa. Do you think me as a Zimbabwean, I would go down to South Africa to build them roads? Do you think as a Zimbabwean, I'll go down to South Africa and build them universities, best of schools? I'm not a South African. The only reason I may be in South Africa is to have money, to extract more and more money, but not to bring them economic development. That is a fact, whether you like it or not. Is there any Zimbabwean who would travel from Zimbabwe to say, I want to contribute massively to the betterment of the lives of South Africans? That would be a lie. And it doesn't matter whether you are white, but if you're a Zimbabwean, your reason for being in South Africa is that you want to amass wealth, money. That is why I always argue that the current Minister of Home Affairs in South Africa is a Zimbabwean, correct? That is not exaggeration. That is the truth. Where was he born? In Zimbabwe. The current Minister of South African Home Affairs is not a South African. He is my own brother. He is a Zimbabwean. He is a South African by legislation. He is now a South African because they were welcomed into South Africa. But the fact remains, the truth remains, that he is still a Zimbabwean. You might want to deny it, but you won't. You remember on his profile, it was written that he's born of Zimbabwe. And when people started to point that you are born in Zimbabwe, he deleted it. The South African Minister of Home Affairs, he can't deny it. I'm not saying chase him. I'm not saying he's doing something wrong. I'm only giving a reference. Now, those people who were imported into Zimbabwe by ZANU-PF, I'm not talking those who came into Zimbabwe during Rhodesia in the 50s, in the 60s. Somebody might try to say, oh no, because Zimbabwe and Zambia, they were one country. During the Federation of Rhodesia, which ran for 10 years, 53 to 31 1st of December 1963. There are many different types of federation. That one of Federation of Rhodesia in Nyasaland, if you look into the history, if you check, the reason why they never produced a birth certificate, an ID, a passport, or a death certificate written the Federation of Rhodesia in Nyasaland, it was because the type of a federation, it was a labor broking type of a federation. Somebody is saying what? They must respect our government and have legal papers. I think it's a South African is mentioning something. My brother, I would like to say something. I like the way what you're saying, Sarah, here. We respect your government, but at the same time, don't forget that your very government is responsible twice. Twice, not once, twice. For causing all the problems that Zimbabweans are facing. Here we're speaking the truth. They have helped these Zambians and Malawians who are ruling Zimbabweans. when these guys lost elections in the name of ZANU-PF, Thabo Mbeki refused to let ZANU-PF go because South Africa would lose billions of money. The Mbekis, they're extracting the resources in Zimbabwe. They're doing mining. You know it. If you didn't, now you know. As I speak right now, South Africa is getting billions worth of rands from platinum. Go to the border and see how many thousands of trucks are carrying lithium or platinum from Zimbabwe into Rustenburg. In case you didn't know. But my case here, what I'm talking about that Zimbabweans are so hungry. It is not that they like going to South Africa because maybe South Africa has got over 400 billion worth of business economy. No, that's not the point. Zimbabwe has got a better, much good, favorable climate compared to South Africa in everything. And I say everything. In case you didn't know, if you don't, you can look on Google. We have the best. Zimbabwe is not like Malawi. Zimbabwe is not like Zambia. Zimbabwe is not like the DRC. Zimbabwe is not like Botswana. It's the true, and Zimbabwe is not like South Africa. That is why the British liked to call Zimbabwe their little England, because they, as I speak, did you know that the British government, especially the house of the monarch, the king, the queen, they drink water straight from Zimbabwe. Water from Zimbabwe. Today, if you didn't know, the spring water that the King Charles is drinking is not coming from the United States, it's not coming from Germany, it's not coming from Japan, it is not coming from Germany, it is not coming from Switzerland, it is not coming from South Africa. The water that today King Charles is drinking is coming from Zimbabwe. You want to hear me more? But what I'm talking about, we have the case of ZANU-PF here. This is not the first time. I've complained about it before in the year 2023 when the Zimbabwean government took thousands and thousands of tons of maize and some grocery and gave them to Malawians. I don't have a problem with sharing food, clothes, anything with anybody anywhere in the world. I have the problem when we witness people dying, starving, in the face of the government, in the eyes of everybody. And that is the problem that we have. And how do we stop this problem? How are we going to stop ZANU-PF? If you are a Zimbabwean, you are not safe. You either get, if you complain, if you speak as the way I'm doing, if you complain, if you raise some concerns, you'll get abducted, you'll be killed, you'll be tortured. You can only be spared if you are one of them. I'm telling you the truth. You can only be spared when you are one of them. But if you are a real Zimbabwean, you are not safe. Forget about it. Don't believe in the stupid things and the propaganda they try to make you believe. That is why ZANU-PF is so much against social media, because by it, they're being exposed to who they are. And they don't want you to hear what I'm saying. In all the rural areas of Zimbabwe, where native Zimbabweans are, Robert Mugabe never wanted that at the secondary level, people might have a Form 5 and Form 6. Himself, Mugabe, had to sign to allow some places in certain rural areas to have a Form 5 and Form 6. He wouldn't allow a university and colleges to be constructed, to be built in the rural areas. Himself, Mugabe, they made sure university colleges and better schools are within the areas that that their own people, the Zambians and Malawians, they are living. It's a fact. As I speak today, I'm going to bring you a list of all the names of the people who are in charge, the top 5 or 6 who are in charge of the army, the police, the judicial. They are not Zimbabweans. The top 5 who are in charge of the judicial, they are not Zimbabweans. 90% of the ministers in government, they are not Zimbabweans. How do you expect Zimbabwe to do something better? Is it a lie? Am I lying? Have I become your enemy by telling you the truth? I'm not saying chase them. I'm not saying beat them. I'm saying the truth for its sake. I'm saying the truth for its sake. As I speak right now, members of ZANU-PF, they've got a lot of food and they throw food in the bin every day. But we have people going to sleep without having anything, taking anything into their stomach. And they shout Zimbabwe is a free country. Is that a free country? They're thieves. They're crooks. Joseph Kalibwe, the Zambian, he has said it many times that this brutal man, this devil, this murderer, Emerson Mnangagwa, who is currently the Zimbabwean president, he is not a Zimbabwean, he is a Zambian from Bumbwa. He is a Bumbwa. His own brothers in Zambia, they are confirming it. I don't know why people are so obsessed by being Zimbabweans. I want to say something this to South Africans. South Africans who are online, watching me from wherever. Have you noticed that during the festive seasons like Christmas time and during Easter holidays, you find buses like this going to Zimbabwe? Did you notice it? Did you ever notice it? And in Zimbabwe, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of Malawians. You'll never find a bus with Malawians, even one, going to Malawi or to Zambia during festive season. Then we don't have money right now in Zimbabwe. We don't. We don't have money. We don't have industry anymore. But Zambians would rather choose still to come to Zimbabwe. Malawians will still choose to come to Zimbabwe, knowing very well that the economy of Zimbabwe is now broke, is useless. The moment they enter into Zimbabwe, the next day they've got Zimbabwean IDs, they've got farms, they've got land. They love Zimbabwe so much. Zimbabwe is into their blood. We no longer have Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe now belongs to Zambians and Malawians. That is the absolute truth. Today, as I speak, you know it is true. This other Malawian is saying, I'm speaking lies. I'm not speaking lies. I'm not speaking lies. Now, the difference between Zambians and Malawians is that they are one people. They speak a common language. They are all Chewa people. That is why you find that in Malawi they use a currency called kwacha. You've got the same kwacha in Zambia. I've always tried to tell you to open your eyes that because the Mozambicans and Zimbabweans, they are actually one people. They are one people. Samora Machel was a threat. He was being accused of wanting to cause a federation between Zimbabwe and Mozambique, so he had to be killed. Do you still remember that in the year 1971, Malawi was once banned from the Organization of the African Union? I'm speaking the truth. It's not me who banned it. I was not yet born when Malawi was banned from the organization. Why? Because they were planning against Mozambique. Some of the people who disturbed Samora Machel, they were being trained in Malawi and coming to attack Mozambique. And some, they were being trained in Mpumalanga, South Africa, and coming to attack Mozambique. Do you remember that when Samora Machel was shot down, he was flying from Zambia? Before he was shot, Zambia and Malawi knew that Samora Machel was supposed to die and he was going to die. It's the truth that you don't want to hear that I'm telling you today. One thing that Samora Machel did not know or understand better was that when Lepo Takora and the other Zimbabweans who were in charge of ZANU-PF died, ZANU-PF was hijacked by Malawians and Zambians. It's a fact, I'm telling you the truth today. I don't know, somebody's talking bad. He doesn't want me to eat, or he's saying I'm eating too much or whatever it is. My brothers, my sisters, did you know that in Zimbabwe, I don't want to talk about different institutions of parastatals owned by government. The Grain Marketing Board of Zimbabwe, it had enough money to give each Zimbabwean who was being born and dying, whether man or woman, $1 million US per person. The Grain Marketing Board of Zimbabwe was so rich. I'm not talking about the different agricultural institution, what. The GMB, Grain Marketing Board. It had enough money to give to every Zimbabwean $1 million of the United States dollars. Excuse me. And that man, it was taken. And guess what? These Zambians and Malawians pretending to be Zimbabwean. That I would like to say something to those people who say I'm lying. Why is it that the current, the last time, the late Zambian president Edgar Lunga, he's still in South Africa in the mortuary as I speak. He died last year on 5 June last year. Edgar Lunga. He died in South Africa. They give him a Zimbabwean Shona name, a Zimbabwean Shona surname. They said he was born in Mashingwen Bigeta. Was Edgar Lunga Zimbabwean? Is he not a bloody Zambian? Is he not a Kwashaman? Is he not a Bumbwa? And he would steal some helicopters, took one to Zimbabwe, took another one to South Africa, and they were recovered by President HH. The reason why he's still in the mortuary is the government and the family, they're still fighting. Now, the family know that this thief, Zambians by nature, they're thieves. They are thieves, Zambians by nature, they are thieves. But of Malawians by nature, they are sellout. Truth for its sake. Truth for its sake. Now, let me tell you something. The reason why the family of Zambia, the former Zambian President Edgar Lunga, they would rather have him buried in South Africa. They know, because if he is going to be taken his body and they issue a death certificate written Edgar Lunga, then all the property and the man that Edgar Lunga took into South Africa and different investment, they're going to lose it. So they would rather have a death certificate written Tendai is a Zimbabwean, what, the same Edgar Lunga. So they have got access to the stolen wealth, to the properties. They've got shares in South Africa, biggest shopping malls, big businesses. These are Zambian thieves. I'm telling you the truth. So, we have a lot to talk. We have a lot to... Can you share this? Then we can continue the conversation. We need to. Did you know that? By now, South Africa is worth over 400 billion US dollars. It's the economy, right? That is the truth. And now Zimbabwe is almost 100 years behind South Africa. But the truth of the matter, if you know, Zimbabwe has got the potential to pull closer to South Africa if given 7 to 10 years, provided there are no Zambian thieves. Because Zimbabweans, as I know them, they love their country and they are willing to do everything. Have you ever noticed that Zimbabwean millionaires, real Zimbabweans, they run away from Zimbabwe, never to come back? Some are in South Africa, some are in the UK, some are in the United States, some are in Australia. And every day they cry. But you find that Zambians, Malawians, the Bumbwa people, the Piri, the Banda, those Mwale, the Mwasa, you name the Zacarias, the Macheso, you name them all, the fucking Bumbwa. Even did you notice on the Zimbabwe national team when it was playing against the other teams, especially against South Africa? It was the Zimbabwean who made the score because he's carrying the blessing on his shoulder, on his head. About the rest of all the players, they are Umbra people. They are not Zimbabweans. Is it? I'm telling you the truth. Remember when France, during the World Cup, was playing, which country was it, on the final? The majority of the players, they were blacks, they were Africans, the French black people. And guess what? The whole of Africa were celebrating, were supporting France. Why were they celebrating France? They said the entire French, it is Africa against whatever it is. Now, I want to give you a deeper example. If you look on Mozambique, the Portuguese who were born in Mozambique, grew up in Mozambique, had passports in Mozambique, IDs in Mozambique, business in Mozambique, houses in Mozambique, investments in Mozambique, who had never moved out of Mozambique. When Samora Machel took over, they said they are not Mozambicans, they are Portuguese. And they started killing their own children and taking those, because in Mozambique they were using the Portuguese pound. And they would put money inside the dead bodies. And at the Mozambican airports, there were hundreds and thousands of dead bodies loaded with the big cash, which was taken to Portugal. By the time Samora Machel and Frelimo realized it was too late. It was too late. It was too late. I want to tell you something. Zimbabwe, as it is, Zambia want it, Malawi want it. Kamuzi Banda and Kenneth Kaunda, they dream that once Zimbabwe is liberated through their own political party by hijacking ZANU-PF, they wanted to re-establish a second type of a federation which was stronger than the previous federation of Rhodesia and Nyasaland. So Samora Machel was standing in the way there to make him, there to clear him. Do you remember about when Samora Machel had a problem with South Africa about land? He told them Mozambique extends all the way close to Maputo. That is my land. And the whites were saying Gaza Mkulu, and he said, where is Gaza Mbiki? You're talking about Gaza Mkulu. Where is the small Gaza? And they said, I will blast you. So they did to have him killed. And at the moment they killed Samora Machel, they deported all Mozambicans in Zimbabwe. Go back, Hondo yakapera Mozambique, and they brought more Mabumbu and Mapugid into Zimbabwe. And they flooded them. And today they own Zimbabwe, they control everything. People, they complain about Chivai, Juan King. They are not Zimbabweans. And the people wish if they can do something for Zimbabwe. We are very stupid. We have got a wrong kind of mentality and excitement. We have got a wrong way of thinking at things. I understand the fact that we are too polite. We are very friendly people. Our hospitality is good. We accommodate everybody. But I think these guys, when they came, they found that Zimbabwe are the worst stupid of all the stupid people in Africa. We Zimbabweans, we are the worst stupid. Go to Malawi. How many Zimbabweans will you find as a councillor, as an MP, as a minister in Malawian government or Zambia? But themselves, they come into Zimbabwe, they become members of MP, judges, whatever, policemen, soldiers. You make me angry. Now that murderer, Emerson Mnangagwa, how many people still remember that the wife of the late president, the same level of Zambia, he said, my husband, talking about the president, former president of Zambia, the late president, was killed by Emerson Mnangagwa. She never went like this. How many people remember when Ian Khama, at one time he was the president of Botswana, he nearly was killed by Emerson Mnangagwa. The very same Mnangagwa who has caused bloodshed in Tanzania, the very Mnangagwa who caused the problem in the elections in Namibia, the very Mnangagwa who gave South Africa 60 million rands helping ANC, forgetting that we don't have medicine, we don't have tablets in the hospital. The very Mnangagwa who buys over 1,000 brand new expensive vehicles. We don't need vehicles. People that are not asking for vehicles. People are only asking for little things. People that are not asking for man. People that are asking for very little things. Now they are taxing everybody. They tax everybody. They've become 1,000 times worse than the white regime. Is that independence? That is not independence. That is not independence. We Zimbabweans, a lot of us, we have given up. And that is exactly what ZANU-PF wants. And in my native language, and that is exactly what ZANU-PF wants us. The entire country, we must leave, must give up, we must surrender, we must consider a finished game. We are not finished. I believe that God will bless a Zambian in Zambia. God will answer that prayer. I believe that God can bless a Malawi in Malawi. And I believe God will bless a Zimbabwean in Zimbabwe, not God to bless a Zimbabwean to be the ruler, to be the president of South Africa. It doesn't work like that. That is why if you look in the Bible, God appointed that the children of Judah, you stay in your territory. The children of Dan, you stay there. God will bless you there. The children of Naphtali, you stay there in your territory. The children of Gad, you stay where you belong. The children of Zebulun, you stay where you belong. Ephraim and Manasseh, you stay where God appointed you. You, Ephraim, you stay where God stationed you. You don't jump. Yes, people are allowed. If you want to move from one place to another, you can. It was always like in the Bible. You could go to the midnights where the children of Lot. You could go to the Edomites, the children of Esau. They were related somehow. We are related in Africa, but we got to know the boundaries. And we got to know our blessings. Now, let me tell you something. Shepherd Bushiri, the prophet, the thief, the robber. He made a serious man. Later, South Africans realized that he is a thief. He ran away from South Africa. If he was not a thief, he wouldn't run. He might say the people were jealous and what, but South Africa is not his home. His home is Malawi. Where is he? He's back home, where he rightful belongs. I'm telling you the truth. He's back at his home. There's nothing wrong if he wants to stay in South Africa, but the way he was doing things. He was a thief. He would say, I'm untouchable. Was it true? So guys, the truth of the matter is, we need to sort ourselves tonight. May God open your eyes and your ears and your heart. May the Lord hear your prayers. But God is not going to hear the prayer whereby a political party with a lot of blood of the innocent people who died. You expect God to bless it. You are lying. You are lying. God will never. There are people who are receiving big cash, thousands of US, having done nothing, just the next morning you receive a brand new Toyota Fortuner worth maybe in the South African rands, 1.1 million rands, having done nothing because you smiled at the president, then you are gifted a Fortuner, whatever, like that doing every day. Starting this year of 2026, all the people who received the money from ZANU-PF, they will be forced, it will be compulsory that you go on podiums, on platforms campaigning for ZANU-PF, for Emmerson Mnangagwa. If you object, you will go to jail. That thing is coming. All those people who say they are celebrities, whatsoever I call them, who they thought is a gracious man, that is satanist, that devil, that bumbwa. You're going to see his true colors, that is the devil. The devil is in Mnangagwa, and Mnangagwa in the devil, and the ZANU-PF is in the devil, and the devil is in ZANU-PF. You are going to test it. You received the cars, you thought it was for free. ZANU-PF doesn't work it like that. We have come to the point where I have to tell you the truth that even some ZANU-PF is going to bring you more political parties, to sponsor them, to fund them. A lot of things are going, you shall see a lot of things on social media. God bless you. Bye.